Okay, so for this video, I'm looking at the distributive property in algebra. So let's read the description for a distributive property. So I'm just gonna get my pen ready. So a distributive property or a distributive law in algebra explains how multiplication works with addition or subtraction inside brackets. And let me highlight this word right here, inside brackets. And this is very important. And it's also very important for you to understand that it works with addition or subtraction inside the brackets. So these are the signs that are important when we're looking at the distributive law in algebra. Alright, so the rule. Now if you look at this example right here, or this picture right here, you should see the general rule when we apply distributive law or property when in algebra. So we have three terms inside this example right here. We have A, we have B, and we have C. Now, in order to get your answer whenever we're using the rule, whatever is outside of the bracket right here. So let me highlight whatever outside of the bracket, whatever term outside of the bracket, you simply, so since the A is outside the bracket right here, let me just quickly highlight the A. And then I will explain or show you what you do right here. So the A is outside the bracket. So whatever term you have outside of the bracket, you just distribute it by multiplying the term outside with each term inside the bracket. So A times B and A times C. And if you look right here, we have a plus sign between the two terms. So A plus C. If you look below, we have a subtraction sign. B minus C. So it works for both examples. When we have plus or minus inside the bracket, and there are two terms inside the bracket or more. So whenever we have the terms inside the bracket, we just take whatever is outside. In this case is A, and we multiply by each term inside the bracket. So A times B would just give you AB, and A times C will give you AC. So A times C is just AC. Put back the plus sign right there because A is positive. So A times C will just give you plus AC. Whereas below, A times B will give you back here AB, but the A times negative C now. So A times negative C will just give you back here negative AC. Alright, now that we get the rules out of the way, or now that we got the rules out of the way, I'm gonna highlight this important note below. So it means you multiply the value outside the bracket by every term inside the bracket. So whatever you have outside of the bracket, whatever term you have outside the bracket, you multiply it by each term inside the bracket. Alright, moving on. So this is our first example right here, which would be number 1. So number 1, we have this right here that we're expanding. So we have 4 outside of the bracket, and inside of the bracket we have 2 terms, and the 2 terms is 2x, and we have a plus 3. So put simply, you multiply whatever you have outside the bracket, so the 4, and you distribute it to each term inside. So you'll have right here 4 times the 2x, and you also have plus 4 times the 3. So after you have the 4 times the 2x, you'll have 4 times 3. So 4 times 3. and I'll just write the answer right below. So 4 times 2x, that will give you, you multiply the numbers together, so 4 times 2 is 8. And you write back the letter x. So 4 times 2x is 8x plus 4 times 3. So 4 times 3, that is just 12. And there you go. That's the answer for the first question. So I'll just stick it right here. So I'll just mark that. Number 2. So if you look right here, as I said before, we multiply the term outside of the bracket with each term inside the bracket. But if you look right here, we have more than one term. How many terms we have inside this bracket right here? We have more than 2 terms. So let me count it for you. If you're not seeing it, we have 1, 2, 3 terms. Person's wondering, how can you count the terms? How do you know how many terms are in the bracket? Well, look at the plus or the minus sign. So the plus or the minus sign acts as a border. The plus or minus sign separates the terms inside the bracket, so you can know how many terms they are inside the bracket. So because the minus sign is right here, because the plus sign is right here, it acts as the border, so you can count 1, 2, 3. So that's what we do to identify if we have one term or more. So now that we got that out of the way, we'll just quickly solve this problem by expanding the bracket. So negative 3, we're going to multiply negative 3 by 5x. So negative 3 times 5x, remember, number times number. So 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. What type of 15? Negative times positive. Negative 3 times 5, that is negative 15. So negative 15. You just write the letter that's there, so we just put back the letter right there. So negative 15x. Then we have our next term. So negative 3 now. After we have finished with multiplying the 5x, then we got that out of the way. We'll multiply it by the second term. So negative 3 times negative 2y, because the minus sign or subtraction sign is in front of the 2y. That means that it is a negative 2y. So that's negative 2y times negative 3. Negative times negative, that's a positive. So remember, negative times negative is positive. Negative times negative, positive. And 3 times 2, 3 times 2 is 6. Remember, number times number. There's no letter outside of the equal sign, so we'll just write back our y right there. And negative 3. So since we have got the second term out of the way, we'll now multiply by the third term. So we're now multiply by the 4. So negative 3 times positive 4. Negative 3 times 4. First of all, negative times positive, that's negative. So let's write the negative sign right here. And 3 times 4 is 12. So that is our answer right below. And I'll just mark that.